The crowd roared with excitement as the golden rays of sunset shimmered over the ocean arena. Jessica stood backstage, her heart pounding like the waves crashing against the rocks beyond the bay. It was supposed to be her final performance, a farewell to the world she loved so much, the marine park where she had spent years building an unbreakable bond with her dolphin partner, Orca. Little did she know, this day would change her life forever. Jessica had always believed that animals could feel emotions deeper than most humans ever realized. From the first day she met Orca, she saw something special, a spark of intelligence and trust that transcended words. Together, they had created breathtaking shows that drew thousands. Orca wasn't just a performing dolphin, he was Jessica's family, her best friend, and the reason she stayed strong through heartbreaks and loneliness. But over the last few months, something had changed. Orca had grown distant, restless. He refused to follow simple commands and sometimes swam in circles for hours, making sharp clicking sounds that none of the trainers understood. Jessica noticed the dullness in his eyes, a sadness that mirrored her own. Management wanted results, not excuses. They reminded her of the audience waiting outside, of the money tied to each performance. "He's just being stubborn," they said. "Push him harder." That night, as the show began, the energy was electric. Lights danced across the water. Children cheered, and music thundered through the speakers. Jessica walked to the edge of the pool, microphone in hand, forcing a smile as she announced Orca's grand entrance. The crowd erupted when he leapt from the water, spraying mist into the air like liquid diamonds. For a brief moment, it felt perfect again, the connection, the trust, the magic. Then everything went wrong. As Jessica dove into the pool for their signature routine, Orca didn't follow her cue. He circled below her, faster and faster. The crowd thought it was part of the act, clapping and cheering. But Jessica could sense the tension. Suddenly, Orca lunged upward, knocking her off balance. The impact sent her plunging into the water, the cold shocking her lungs. Panic rippled through her chest as she saw Orca's massive shadow below. He rammed her again. Once. Twice. She screamed underwater, bubbles bursting from her lips. Trainers on the sidelines shouted, banging the metal rails, trying to distract the dolphin. The water turned chaotic, waves, splashes, confusion. Jessica struggled to surface, her leg throbbing with pain. The crowd's cheers turned to terrified gasps. Within seconds, other trainers dived in, pulling her to safety. Everything became a blur, sirens, shouting, the sound of her own heart beating like thunder in her ears. Orca was tranquilized and moved to an isolation tank. Jessica was rushed to the hospital, her body bruised and her spirit shattered. The doctor said she was lucky to be alive. But Jessica couldn't stop thinking about him, her dolphin, her friend, who had attacked her. Why? What had she done wrong? Weeks passed. The media called it an unbelievable dolphin attack. They painted Orca as a monster and Jessica as a victim. But deep down, she couldn't accept that. She refused to believe that Orca had meant to hurt her. There had to be a reason. When she finally returned to the marine park, against everyone's advice, she found Orca in a small, enclosed tank. His once bright eyes looked dull and lifeless. The sight broke her heart. She knelt beside the glass, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have listened. You were trying to tell me something, weren't you?" After days of observation, she discovered the truth. Orca wasn't sick or violent, he was suffering. His sonar system was damaged due to the loud music and artificial sound waves used during performances. Every show had been like torture to his sensitive hearing. His attack hadn't been out of rage, it was a desperate cry for help. Jessica quit the park the next day. She started a campaign to protect marine animals from being exploited for entertainment. Her story went viral, touching hearts around the world. She spoke at schools, on television, and in front of Congress, demanding the end of captive shows. Years later, she returned to the ocean, not as a performer, but as a rescuer. Standing on a small boat, she watched as Orca, now rehabilitated and free, swam into the open sea. He paused for a moment, looking back at her, their eyes meeting one last time under the fading sunlight. A tear slid down Jessica's cheek. It wasn't just a goodbye, it was forgiveness. A bond too deep to be broken by fear or pain. As Orca disappeared into the endless blue, Jessica whispered softly, you were never my pet. You were my teacher. The story of Jessica and Orca spread far beyond the stage, inspiring millions to see animals not as performers, but as living souls deserving of freedom and respect. And though her final show had ended in tragedy, it became the start of something far greater, a movement born from love, loss, and the courage to change. Jessica never performed again. But every time she stood near the ocean and felt the cool breeze on her face, she knew Orca was out there, somewhere, free and alive. Their last performance wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a legacy that would live forever.